Yes, you are welcome. I'm trying to see if I can share my screen to accommodate everyone. Okay. Yes. This is a webinar organized by International Journal of Vocational and Technical Education Review, IJVOCTER, Nigeria. The presenter is VC Asogwa, Department of Agricultural Education, of Agriculture, University of Eswatini. The topic for today is frameworks for writing statement of the problem. Frameworks for writing statement of the problem. Without wasting your time, the learning outcome is that at the end of this webinar, participants should be able to conceptualize research, describe statement of the problem, distinguish between two types of research problems, identify characteristics of a good research statement of the problem, state the importance of statement of the problem, name and describe frameworks for writing the statement of the problem, mention sources of statement of the problem, and write statement of the problem for the study accurately. Now, we normally bring this research, the meaning of this research, so that we have a focus of where we are going. Those who participated in last webinar could remember that we said that a research is an organized study or methodological investigation into a subject in order to discover facts, establish or reverse a theory, or develop a plan of action based on the facts discovered. Now, what do we mean? We're saying that research is an investigation which must be systematically organized and logically carried out. So if you have any investigation that is not systematic and is not systematically organized and is not logically carried out, that is not a research. It's just a mere investigation. And we say that not only being systematic and logically organized, it must be carried out to discover facts which may be problem or solution, establish or reverse a theory, model, or framework, and or develop action plan to solve a problem, or establish cause-effect relationship. In this case, we try to say that there are three types of research here. That is, we can say three purposes of research. One is the exploratory research, which tries to discover facts. And then the one that it tries to establish, reverse, or describe models or framework and theories. We call them descriptive research. And then the third one, which tries to develop a plan of action to solve a problem or establish a cause-effect relationship. We say it is an explanatory research. Without wasting time, we'll go to what statement of the problem is. The question now is, what is statement of the problem? Sometimes, in some areas, the statement of problem is called problem statement. Some say it's a research problem, justification of the study, rationale, or research rationale, among others. It is a matter of semantics and depends on the institution or organization that is carrying out the research. So, but we try to explain the statement of problem as an has normally one or more sentence or sentences to explain a gap. Okay. Yes. Yes. We say that this is a webinar organized by International Journal of Vocational and Technical Education Review, IJVOCTER, Nigeria. The presenter is VC Asogwa, Department of Agricultural Education, Faculty of Agriculture, University of Eswatini. The topic we have for today is framework for writing statement of the problem. Framework for writing statement of the problem. Now, the learning outcome. We believe that by the end of the webinar, the participants should be able to conceptualize research, describe statement of the problem, distinguish between two types of research problems, identify characteristics of a good statement of the problem, state the importance of a statement of the problem, name and describe frameworks for writing the statement of the problem, mention sources of statement of the problem, and write statement of the problem for a study accurately. So now the question is, what is research? We say that a research is an organized study or methodological investigation into a subject in order to discover facts, establish or reverse a theory, or develop a plan of action based on the fact discovered. Each time we want to talk anything about research, we normally try to bring the meaning of the research so that it will be in our mind as we progress. And we are saying that research is simply an investigation, but must be systematically organized and logically carried out to discover facts, which may be a problem or solution, establish or reverse a theory, model or framework, and or develop action plan to solve a problem, or establish a cause-effect relationship. These, we try to say that the purpose or the purposes of research are described in three ways: either that it is exploratory research, descriptive research, or explanatory research. We move forward to where we are going, which is, what is statement of the problem? Now, this is supposed to be an interactive section, but for want of time, I will just continue. Otherwise, we would have solicited the opinion of the participants on what they think statement of problem is. And I know you know that in some area, the statement of problem is called problem statement. Some call it a research problem, justification for the study, research rationale, among others. It is a matter of semantics and depends on the organization or institution that is carrying out the study. However, statement of the problem is normally one or more sentences to explain the gap difficult situation, or question that needs to be solved or addressed. It is a definite or clear expression, statement about an idea of interest or gap, or a puzzling question that exists in a practical environment. Scholarly literature or theory that needs an intervention or investigation for clarity or improvement. So we are saying that a statement of the problem may be an area of concern. It could be a gap that is existing in the knowledge, or a deviation from normal or this normal standard that points to the need for further understanding and investigation. Ordinarily, I try to explain this a statement of problem as a statement, as a clear cry of the researcher, to convince himself and others the need to study what he wants to study, or the need for the study. That is, the researcher is the child that is crying, and he is also the parent of the child who tries to find out why the child is crying. So it is a statement, you know, when a child is crying, it attracts the attention of whoever. When you see someone crying, it's a language that everybody understands, whether the white or the black. When you see a child crying, you know what it signifies. So for you to write a statement of problem, you write it clearly that even those who do not have any need for that study will agree with you that there is need for this study. So your cry must be loud and clear enough to attract your attention, to convince you of why you want to go into the study, and also others. So from there, we tell you the types of research problem. We have two types of research problem. One is practical research problem, and the second one is theoretical research problem. The practical research problem relates to the real situation rather than ideas or theory or imagination. It is directly relevant to the specific observable, empirical, or experimental issue that affects an individual, organization, or institution. Those things that can be observed, they are feasible, they are not imagined, they are not ideas, they are not theories. They are things that you can observe. It could be experimental, it could be empirical. They are called practical research when we are talking of research problems. Then we have other research problems that are abstract in nature and deals with theoretical issues, models, adage, ideas, or norms that may not have clear practical consequences in the society. May not have clear, the one you see, or may have a clear practical consequences in the society. But sometimes their relevance is less immediate, is less immediately observed like that of the practical research. They are there, they're affecting the society, but it is more imagined, they are abstract in nature. So we call such a thing, sometimes it is built from this theory, like the theory, constructivism, and or subjectivism, all those theories. Then the way it impacts on our life, it may be a problem. And when you are driving a problem from that, you call it a theoretical research problem. Sometimes you may drive from a sentence. Like there was a time Japan said that people should eat food as drugs, not drugs as food. So this is a basic statement, it's a universal statement that people need to accept. So from there you can develop, but even though you said like this, but something like this is not happening. I remember there was the study I wrote like that when I tried to integrate medicinal crops into the curriculum of agriculture. I brought that idea. I said, theoretically, people are supposed to be eating food as drug, not drug as food. But unfortunately, that people do not know the type of foods to eat at the required time. So from there, I built my statement of problem. Then the next one is characteristics of a good statement of the problem. Yeah, the characteristics. We say one is that a good statement of the problem is ethical. It must build on the norms of the society, what is generally accepted. Must be concise, definite, or specific to what you want, and it should provide information on what the readers already know. We call it state of the art, the context. Then what the reader does not know, that is the unknown, the gap that is observed physically or in literature. And then what the readers need to know to bridge that gap between the known and the unknown. And then why they need to know what they do not know. That is the relevance of the study or the significance. And then what to do for the readers to know what they do not know. The way out, the way you want to bridge that gap between the known and the unknown. But understand that a good statement of the problem does not state how, like the procedure you are going to use to carry out the study, to collect data or measure. No, it doesn't contain all those things. And it does not offer unclear or broad plan of action. It does not do that. It does not present a value question. Sometimes you see questions at the end of the statement of problem, which is not correct. You can put it at the background, but in the statement of problem, you are expected to clearly tell the readers, convince them why they study, not to give them another question at the end of your statement of problem. No, it's not. I don't think it is advisable. Now, we go to the importance of the statement of the problem. Here, we just try to itemize 4 importance as it establishes the importance of the topic. In the statement of the problem, you should be able to establish the importance of the topic and create readers' interest so that the readers will know exactly where you are going. It focuses the reader's attention on how the study will add to the literature. That's the significance of the study now. It will also help the researcher to clearly identify the purpose of the study. If after writing your statement of problem, you are not able to clearly identify the purpose for that study, it means the statement of problem is not clear. So now we go over to the main work, why we decided to host this webinar, and that is frameworks for writing the statement of problem. For this study or this webinar, we were able to identify 4 frameworks. We were able to establish 4 frameworks for this aspect of the research that can help students or young scholars. And they are, one is 4W plus H. 4W plus H. And what does the 4W represent? It represents what, where, who, why, and how. That is the H there is the how. This is the horizontal knowledge from FAO, United Nations, Research for Life that is currently going on now. That is where they are talking about the factors you use in assessing the quality of literature. So from there, we borrowed some idea, and it is working at the background, at the statement of the problem. Now, we have another one that says 5W, just only 5W without H now. Now, we have who here, what, where, when, and why. If you look at the first one, We don't have when there, but now here we have when, and that made it 5W. Then the next one is the combination of the first one and the second one, which gives you 5W plus H. And this is comprehensive. We also look at the arrangement of the other ones, but I decided to arrange this one this way: what, where, who, when, why, and how. We're going to look at the components. There's another framework that advocates for 1 I and 3 R's. So that is 1 I R raised to power 3. And what does it mean? It means I is representing idea, ideal. Then R, the first R is reliability, reality. The second R is restriction, and the third R is root. We call this one persuasive statement of problem. This one originated from us to a high degree. Then, what is the description of the framework of the components? What's the description now? Now, the what we are talking about. When you are writing a statement of problem, the first thing you ask yourself is what? This tries to ascertain the main idea or what is happening, the main issue happening that deviates from the normal. That issue, that gap or method or process or way that attracts your attention, that you feel that is faulty. It may include the genesis of the problem, but at the start, in a sentence, you should be able to state exactly what is wrong. If it is unemployment, you just say, there is high rate of unemployment. So you can build on that. But you must say what. Then we now say where. This high rate of unemployment, where is it existing? Is it in the university or at the local level or in the organization or in a location, or where is the what that you have said existing? Then we look at who. Now this who has 2 directions. It's talking about who is causing that what. Who is causing the unemployment? Who is causing the gap or the problem? And then the second person is who is the gap affecting? Who is being affected by the gap, the issue, or the problem? So you take one direction, don't join 2 of them, depending on what you are writing, depending on the angle we are coming from. If you are talking of unemployment, you can be talking of the lecturers that they are not teaching well, or you can be talking of the students that are not learning well. So you come from this axis. You just take one. If you want to take 2 of them, there's no barrier to it. And this who also includes the age, male and female, that's the gender, the race, ethnicity of the person. Then that takes us to the next one, which is when. When we are talking of when, we are talking of time. We are just talking of time. It entails the time the gap started existing and the time to end. Like now, we are talking of a pandemic, COVID-19. It could include when it started, and now nobody knows when it is going to end. So that is when we are talking about. The time the issue occurs and the time it needs to be fixed. If it is a project or program, it portrays when the project started and ended, or when it will start and when it will end. It could include the effort made so far in the direction of the research within the period. And that leads us to the question, why? Believing you are with me, then we go to why. Why is trying to give a reason, the need for the study. This study you want to carry it out. Why do you want to carry it out? Why is it important? You should be able to tell people, state why it is important that if you carry out this study, it will block this or improve or open this opportunity. It tries to suggest why the problem exists and why the need for the problem to be solved. What will happen if the problem is left unabated? What impact is your study fixing this problem? What impact will it make? And what impact will it not make if it is not fixed? That could be on the system, could be on the teachers, could be on the administration. But it's talking about why. If you don't fix it, what happens? Then we go to how. How identifies the process, the method, the way, the strategy that will be followed to solve the problem. How will you solve this problem? What route will you follow? You should be in a statement, tell us what you want to do. It could be to identify. It could be to determine. It could be to investigate. You should tell us exactly how you want to carry out that study. And I say, note, concepts may be rearranged. It may not be arranged serially like this, as we have stated above, but it is important to ensure that at least 4 of them are captured in your writing, according to your conviction. So that's what you want us to note. Then the third one, the 4th framework, which we said is about persuasive statement of problem, which we said is about persuasive statement of the problem. That is 1I and R raised to power 3. R raised to power 3. Now, what is this I talking about? It's talking about the ideal situation. And we say, what is the ideal situation? That thing that you imagine that is supposed to be in your country, that people supposed to have jobs when they graduate from, especially from a university. That is the ideal situation. But people are not getting the job. So you must be able to, in the first time, tell us what you imagine. We call it desired goal or imagined or ideal situation. You explain how things should be. Then from there, you go to the real situation. This is how things should be. You now move to the real situation. And that is the actual existence, the observable happening, the situational report, what is on ground at present, that people are not getting jobs. There is a high rate of unemployment. And you should be able to explain the effort that has been made so far and the condition that prevented the realization of that achievement. So that is what we call the reality. Now, the next one is the restriction. This is the reality. This is the ideal situation. Now, what is the restricting? What is stopping, limiting the reality from becoming an ideal situation? That is what we are talking about, the restriction. This place, you just use in 1 or 2 sentences to explain how current or the real situation falls short of the ideal situation and what made it so and the consequences. It is clear that this thing, people are supposed to get job, but they're not getting job. Why? Why are they not getting job? You tell us the restrictions. Then the next one is the route. The route now, this describes a way that the researcher proposes to follow and move from the real situation to the ideal situation. The researcher explains the expected, the imagined consequences of the route that will beat the restriction or improve the current ideal situation. So what we are saying is that you establish the ideal situation, you get the reality on the ground, and then tell us what is restricting the reality from becoming the ideal situation, and then the route to beat the restriction and reach the ideal situation. This is what is expected. Here, you may also decide to start from the reality to the ideal situation. In that case, you tell us what is on ground and what is expected to be on ground. You can move from the known to the unknown. It is not still bad. Then we go over to the sources of the statement of problem. Where do you source your statement of problem? Your statement of problem should come from your topic. When you look at a topic, you should be able to think of what the problem should be without going to literature. If you are the one who formulated the topic, as we discussed last time, you should believe what the problem is all about. Then the next one is personal experience or interest of the researcher. You can, if you are an expert in that field, you can observe some situations that are not normal that you think. From there, you can build your statement, but you must be an expert, not just first degree. You say that you observed and you think that should be enough. You must be an expert. Then the third one is observation. Profession, you can observe from your professional or environmental observation. But I say that this is not just enough. If you observe, what you will do when you observe is to look for literature to back it up, because your observation may not just be enough, unless you are an experienced person, like professors or senior lecturers can make observation. Yes. So the next one is a pilot study. The study of previous experiment. Study of previous experiment can go in. You can use the study of previous experiment, the outcome, to build your statement of problem. To build your statement of problem, you can do that. Then you can also build your statement of problem on theories or models in the field. You can pick a theory from a model, that this is a theory, that this theory says so, but so that the theories, you can build from the theories. Just say what the theory said and the situation on ground, that it is not following the theory, or that this theory said so, but it is not working in different areas. From there, you can build a model, you can build a statement of problem. Then the next one is a literature review. You can review some literature to establish your statement of problem. So then we go to the process. That is step by step of writing the statement of problem. Now, we are going to use 5H, even though this is not complete. This is 4. I'm thinking of, we are using 5 here, please. When is missing here. So, but these are the processes you can. The first one is that you state the state of the art. State what is happening, what you feel about the problem. So, in this case, you move and indicate where this problem exists, the place concerned for the happening. You also include who are those involved. How are they involved? Are they being affected, or are they causing it? Why are they involved? Is there any effort that has been made by these people to solve the problem? So you get all these things and include about the who. Empirical evidence or literature support may be necessary here, but I advise you not to go into literature review. First of all, write the framework of what you think before you look for literature to support, so that you will not be distracted. You are the only one who has the mental picture of what you want to write. So it's better you put it down before you now look for literatures to intervene. That's my humble suggestion. Then the fourth one is you bring out why the present situation remained unsolved or may not be solved. That is the restriction we have talked about. Why is the effort made being failing? Why is it failing? So from there, you now state clearly what you want to do, what you want to do to bridge this gap. You need to use a specific word like determine, identify, investigate, explore, and some other things, which must be specific, measurable, attainable, and realistic. They must be specific and must be measurable and must be attainable and must be realistic. So these are important facts you need to know. Then the next one is you indicate the relevance. You indicate the relevance of that plan you want to follow. Relevance of what you want to do. That if this thing is done, it is definitely going to give this, to beat that restriction. So it is very important. And I say note, it is advisable to create this framework using your own words before looking for literature to support, if need be, to avoid deviation from the topic or stem of the problem. That's my humble suggestion, please. Then the next one is examples of statement of problem. Here, I'm not going to read it, but you go through. The research is ongoing, so I wouldn't like you to share it and start using it. The first one is mechanism for promoting emergency remote teaching among lecturers for sustainable inclusive education during and after COVID-19 pandemic in Nigerian universities. So some of these, I used these frameworks to build this. So by the time you read it, you understand that those ideas I say are built into this statement of problem. Then the next one, the second example is capacity building and motivation of youth and rural women in fish production, into fish production, through entrepreneurial skill-based training program for sustainable self-employment. I also try to build in those concepts there. So by the time you read the first one, read the second one, you'll be able to understand some of those things I have said that can go in now. So if there's any question, you can ask me. Otherwise, I say thank you for participating. Okay, I see, I can remember one question asked. He said, using IS model, yes. Using IS model. Yeah, the question is, using any of these who, where we have 4W or 5W and H against IR, whether if you use IR3, raised to power 3, whether you will be able to capture all those things. You may not be able to capture it, but there are still some who can write it, and bearing in mind these concepts, they bring them in and capture them under ISR. But if you follow what you have recommended here, you may not be able to capture all of them. But it's very important that you use the one that suits you, that answers your question. With that, we can say thank you and say thank you for participating. I'm sorry for that. I was thinking that I shared the slide that time, only to discover when I was saving it that I didn't share it. So I'm sorry about that. Thank you very much. And may God bless all of you for participating. Thank you. Yes, I have finished.